Already bike testing, bike testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alrighty, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, am I loud enough? There we go. As you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on gravity in SDL3 using C++. Well, guys, I am talking in the stream. So stream is going to be relatively shorter. Maybe for the next 5 days, I am going to be just talking for just streaming for about an hour because I do want my throat to get some rest. But I felt like last stream I was like pathetically what you might call it, kind of stupid when it came to actually adding gravity because I was not talking, so I didn't know where was I actually writing the code. That said, I'm going to be working on that as well today. Let me go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Okay, now let's go and let's go ahead and hit Control A to copy. Select all. Let's go ahead and delete everything. And I'm not going to be saying since you're live right now because what you might call it, I do know what I'm going to be working on right now. Okay, that's it. Firstly, let me start off by including something. So let's go ahead and include. What up, guys? There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and include a pair of anchor braces. Let's have one include IO streaming, guys. Let me check if my voice is loud enough. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's it. Next up, after I'm done including IO stream, I do want to work with what you might call it SDL3. So I'm gonna be including SDL3 as well. So I'm gonna go with something like include add a pair of actually add a pair of anchor braces. I'm gonna go with something like SDL3 slash SDL.h. SDL.h is basically the header files for SDL. That said, let's go all the way down right now. Guys, I thought it's going to take less toll on me. It's taking way too much toll on me to talk. That's it. I'm going to go with something like integer main, add a pair of parentheses. Now my main function is going to be requiring two parameters. The first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is going to be an array of argv. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add a pair of curly braces. Now inside of my pair of curly braces, firstly, I'm going to be doing something. Let's see. I might add an if statement to initialize my STL and also check if it was initialized properly. To do that, I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if not STL underscore init, add a pair of parentheses, I'm gonna go with something like SDL underscore init underscore video. If the video section of my SDL was not initialized properly, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces and then I'm gonna go ahead and add something like a standard C edit. Okay, with that insertion operator, I'm gonna give myself, let's say something like an SDL underscore init edit. Okay, perfect. There we go. Okay, and then let's go with another pair of, let's go ahead and add another pair of insertion operator. Now I'm going to use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore get error. Okay, and then add a pair of parentheses to invoke the function. Then I'll go with another insertion operator and then add a standard end line, edit the line. Now, if let me lastly return 1. Okay, so I'm going to be saying something wrong in this, call it, in this block of code. Check it out. And guys, if I can't commentate properly, it is because of my throat. That said, next up, now that I've done initializing my STL, I'm going to be adding a few general game variables that I'm going to be needing. So I'm going to add a comment that says something like game variables. Okay, what all game variables might I need? I might need something like a window's width and height. So I might go ahead and create something like a constant integer of something like width, which is going to be set to, I don't know, maybe 1000, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go with something like a constant integer of height, which is going to be set to 800, ending with a semicolon. And then since I am going to be working with gravity, I might create a variable for gravity as well. So I might go with something like a floating point for gravity, which is going to be equal to something like, I don't know, maybe 0.5f, ending with a semicolon. Your age? Honestly, I am 17 years old. That's it. I am going to be turning 18 really soon. Kind of excited for that. My birthday is on the January 5th. I might actually have a special stream then, guys. Okay, that said, now after I'm done adding my gravity, what else might I need? I might need something like a y-axis underscore velocity, so I might create that. So I'll go with something like a floating point for y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to, I don't know, I'll go with 0 because like my y-axis velocity is going to start by 0 and increase by my gravity. Okay, and then do I want to add x-axis? I might go with something like a floating point for x-axis underscore velocity as well, which is going to be set to something like 5 pixels per frame, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my game variables. Now let's go and add another comment that says something like create window and render. So I'm going to be creating my window and render both at the same time. To do that, first I gotta create two local variables. The first local variable is going to be something like SDL underscore window. This is a structure that consists of all windows as attributes. I'm going to set all those attributes to my window local variable, which is going to be set to null PDR for the time being, which is like a placeholder for pointers. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing for my renderer as well. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore renderer with an asterisk. I'll go with something like a renderer variable, which is going to be equal to null PDR, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done creating both my local variables, let's go ahead and actually use a function that creates both my window and my renderer at the same time. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL underscore create window and renderer function. This function creates both my window and my renderer at the same time, but it does require a few parameters. It requires a title / a caption for my window, a width and height edit create variables for that, a window flag, and my Windows local variable and my renderer local variables is memory address. Your response G. Honestly, I haven't heard of that. That's it. First, let's add a caption. I'll go with something like SDL3 gravity exclamation. Okay, that sounds like a pretty good caption, guys. Okay, now once I'm done adding caption, I gotta give my width variable and height variable, which is basically 1800. So I'll go with something like my width variable and my height variable. Now, did I spell width correct? What up, guys? There we go. Okay, now for my flag, if you guys do want to add a flag, you guys could go with 0, but I do want to add a flag that makes my window resizable. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore window underscore resizable. Okay, this makes my window resizable. And then after I'm done with that, I gotta give the memory address to my window local variable and my renderer local variable. So I'll go with something like ampersand window. So there we go. And then a ampersand renderer or a address of operator renderer. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end our entire function with a semicolon. Now that I've created my window and renderer, I'm going to be using an if statement to check if they were actually created properly. To do that, I'll go with something like an if statement. So I'll go with if a parentheses. Let's say something like if not window, if my window was not created properly, or not a renderer. Hiding Nick, I appreciate you joining the stream. If my renderer was not created properly, I'm going to do something. Firstly, I'm going to add a standard C editor with an insertion operator. This is going to give me something like, I might go in a new line because the function name is kind of big, guys. Okay, this is going to give me a SDL underscore, what up, guys? Okay, a SDL underscore create window and renderer editor. There we go. Okay, so it gives me this error, guys. Can you guys even see this? There we go. Okay, so I get a SDL underscore create window and renderer editor, and then let's go with another insertion operator, add a standard. Let's go with something like honestly, guys, I might go with something like SDL underscore the get editor function. This function actually gets me the editor, and then let's go with another insertion operator. Now I'm going to be let's see. Let's go ahead and end this with an end line. And guys, the reason I am recalling a lot is because the 2 days that I didn't stream was because of my sore throat and my swollen throat type stuff. Guys, 2 days of not programming got me so back. Hiding Somil, is that how you pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Okay, that said, now if my window or my renderer was not created properly, firstly, let's go ahead and destroy my window and window render. Okay, let's go ahead and quit my SDL. My bad, guys. I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. And then lastly, I'm going to return once saying something went wrong here. So check it out. Guys, I'm still in my recall phase because I didn't have time to program off stream. Okay, that's it. Now that I'm done creating my window and renderer, let's see what else might I need. I could add a floor because I do want my rectangle to stop somewhere. So maybe I create my floor under my game variables. Okay, so I'll add a comment here that says something like floor. This is going to be where my object lands. So to get a floor, my floor is basically going to be an extended rectangle. To do that, I'll go with something like SDL underscore frec, which is going to be called something like floor ending with a semicolon. And then now my properties is going to be something like floor dot, let's say something like x-axis, which is going to be equal to, I forgot the attributes, maybe let's go with something like 0. Okay, ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like floor dot y-axis. This is going to be something like I want it to be at the very bottom, so I'll go with something like the 750 or 790. Okay, ending with a semicolon. This is going to be equal to 790. There we go. Okay, and then now I'll go with something like floor dot width. My floor's width is going to be something like let's go with something like 1050, which is like bigger than my entire window size. So my whole window is being covered, ending with a semicolon. And then lastly, I'll go with something like floor dot height, which is going to be okay. I want to have like a decent amount of height, so I might go with something like, I don't know, 50, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now that I'm done creating a floor, let's go ahead and see what to add next. So I could go ahead and whatchamacallit, create my rectangle as well, because I do wanna actually have my rectangle whatchamacallit, be gravitized. So that be ready set, guys. So I could go with something like rectangle properties. Okay, so I'll go with properties. There we go. Okay, now for my rectangle properties, firstly, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with my floors. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore frect, because my rectangle is going to be a rectangle as well. This is going to be called rect, ending with a semicolon. Now my rect.x-axis is going to be something like 500, which is the center of my screen, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like rect.y-axis, which is going to be something like, I don't know, 0, which is going to be at the top of my screen, ending with a semicolon as well. And then rect.width, which is going to be equal to 50. And then my rex's height is going to be 50 as well. So basically, it is going to be like a square instead of a rectangle. Okay, perfect. And now let's go ahead and add our main loop. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like a main loop. And this is going to be where our actual loop is going to be going on. That's enough. For our main loop, I'm going to be needing two variables. The first variable is going to be a Boolean variable for something like is running, which is initially going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to be needing a event variable. Okay, so to get my event variable, I'll go with something like SDL underscore event. The end is nigh and only Jesus saves the world, passing away for eternity. Well, that actually sounds pretty cool. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like SDL underscore event. This is going to be an event variable, ending with a semicolon. Now let's go ahead and actually add my event loop. So I'll go with something like while a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like event loop. There we go. Okay, so my event loop is going to be my, a while loop inside of a while loop, which is basically like a nested loop. So I'll go with something like while a pair of parentheses again. Let's say something like while SDL underscore poll event. Basically, the poll event, the poll event function does it does look for all the events that I'm actually looking for inside of my while loop. So whatever type of events I look inside of my while loop, it checks if these events match one of these event types inside of my SDL underscore events is structure, because SDL underscore events is structure consists of all my SDL events. So if one of those event types is the one that I'm looking for, it executes something or it does something that I tell it to do. So let's add an event type. I'm going to go with something like if a pair of parentheses, if my event dot type equals to, I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore event underscore quit. If my event dot type is quit, if my user did exit my window, I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to set my is running Boolean variable to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my while loop. I could add like key presses and everything, but I won't add my key control just yet. I'm just like working the basics of gravity, because like it's been like a long time since I programmed last. I think like 2 days. Okay, that's it. Now after I'm done with my while loop, let's add another comment that says something like fill screen. Okay, so for my fill screen, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and set a color to my render, because my render is like a paintbrush that colors stuff or adds color to my window, or wherever I say to add color, guys. Okay, that's it. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore set render. Are you seeing this from somewhere, or have you learned it? Honestly, I have like learned it, because like I've been like learning C++ for like I think about like 61 or like 62ish days. That's it. I did start SDL like 13 days ago. The reason I am like kind of rusty and not explaining this properly right now is because I was like sick, so I couldn't stream for 2 days. And yesterday I did like do a stream, but without talking, because my throat is kind of swollen as well right now. Although I'm kind of get like reviewing this stuff, and then I'm going to be like moving on to like more complex stuff. That said, so SDL underscore set render draw color functions. I'm gonna set my render to draw my color with a pair of parentheses. This does require a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer variable, and then I'm going to be needing an RGB value for my second, third, and fourth parameter. I want my window to be cyan color, so I might go with something like 0, 240H, 255. And then lastly, I'm going to be needing an alpha parameter, which is basically opacity, how transparent I want my window to be, or like my color to be, or how not transparent I want it to be. In this case, I don't want it to be transparent at all, so I'll go with something like 255. Okay, now that I've actually set a color to my render, let's use the function actually fills my entire window with this color. So I could go and use the SDL underscore render. So I'm saying my renderer to clear my screen. Basically, clear my screen means fill my entire screen with the color that is currently set to my render, which is this. Okay, this does require a parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. Guys, I feel like I won't be able to hold out for longer. Okay, maybe let me drink some water. Feel like my throat is so kind of swollen. Okay, that's it. After I'm done adding this, let's go ahead and add another comment that says something like graphics. Now for my graphics, firstly, let's go ahead and do something. I might actually, draw my rectangle now. To do that, let me go ahead and rechange the color of my render, because if I didn't change my render color and didn't use this function again, my render is going to be cyan as well, and that wouldn't be seen. So I could do something like SDL underscore set render draw color function. What's going on? Honestly, I am like working on like gravity and like SDL3 using C++. That's it. I'm not like talking really hype right now or like explaining properly. It's because my throat is kind of swollen. That's it. How are you doing? Into I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. I want my rectangle to be red colors. So let's go ahead and fill a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a render variable. The second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB. Since I want my rectangle to be red, I'll go with 23500. And then my alpha / opacity is going to be 255. I don't want my rectangle to be transparent at all. Okay, and then once I'm done setting a color, let's go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and use the function that actually colors my rectangle, and luckily SDL3 does have a function that exactly colors our rectangle, so we wouldn't have to use like points and a formula. That's it. I'll go with something like SDL underscore. I'm going to say my renderer to fill my rec. So SDL underscore render fill rec function. Okay, this does require two parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render variable. The second parameter is going to be my rec's memory address. So the rec that I created here and all these attributes, the memory address of my rec. So I'll go with something like the address of operator. Okay, and then rec, perfect. And that's honestly pretty much it. Okay, now that I'm done adding my graphics, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like present. I'm going to be presenting my renderer on my screen, because if you don't present that renderer on the screen, we're just going to be seeing black and white. Okay, to present it, I could go with something like SDL underscore render. I'm saying my renderer to present itself. Okay, and then I'll add a pair of parentheses. Now my render present function does require a parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. And I actually might even add like an FPS comment, because like I am going to be using gravity, so like stuff is going to be moving. Okay, to add FPS, I could go with something like SDL underscore delay function with a pair of parentheses, and my SDL underscore delay function does require a parameter in like milliseconds. I'll go with something like 16 milliseconds, which is like 60 frames per second, ending with a semicolon. I think you should do Twitch stream also, if you don't have other device or something, just a suggestion, because on Twitch so good. Honestly, I do like stream on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Trovo. I will start streaming on like Instagram and TikTok as well. I do like multi-stream on like all those platforms. Like I'm streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Trovo like right now as well. Okay, that said, now that I'm done with all this, let's go ahead and apply gravity. So, okay, maybe I apply my gravity before I present my color on my screen. I mean, the dollars you can do both streams here, Twitch there. I mean, yeah, I do like multi-stream on, I think about like 4 or 5 different platforms right now. Okay, that said, now once I'm done with that, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like apply gravity. So there we go. Okay, for my apply gravity, I gotta go ahead and firstly increase my y-axis underscore velocity by my gravity variable, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and increase, let's say something like my rectangles is y-axis by my y-axis underscore velocity. So speed increases by acceleration, position increases by speed. Okay, that does actually make a lot of sense. Okay, now once I'm done adding my gravity, I do gotta work on landing as well, because like my rect is just going to be falling down without landing somewhere. To work on my landing, I could add an if statement. I'll go with if a of parentheses. Big fan, bro. Why did you ban me earlier in your previous live? Being a big fan. Honestly, I didn't like ban anyone. Like, were you spamming? Because like, if like a person does spam a lot, I do like mute them for a bit. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like if, let's say if my rect dot y-axis. So okay, let me think about this. I don't want my rectangles as y-axis. So while my rectangles is y-axis, should I go with plus my width? Plus my rect dot width is either greater than, more than, or equal to my floor dot, let's say something like y-axis. Then I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and set my rectangles as y-axis to be equal to my floors is, okay, my floors is y-axis. I want my rectangles y-axis to be equal to my floors is y-axis, okay? Minus my rectangles is, I'm pretty sure like height. Should I go with height instead of width here? I think it should be height. Okay, rectangles is height. Alright, perfect. And then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now guys, this part might be wrong because like I did get a bit rusty when I was like sick and all that stuff. Okay, that said, this should honestly be pretty much it for my basic gravity logic. Okay, now finally let's do our cleanup. This is going to be when our user did exit the window. To do my cleanup, firstly I want to destroy my window. So let's go ahead and use the SDL underscore destroy window function. This function is going to destroy my window. It does require a window parameter ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like SDL underscore destroy renderer. Okay, this destroys my renderer as well with a parentheses. Do you use any app to stream in multiple platforms and your accent is top notch? Honestly, I appreciate your intro. That's it. I do use OBS because I feel like OBS Studio is like pretty convenient for like multi-stream or streaming in general. That said, and then I'm going to quit my SDL. So I'll go with SDL underscore quit with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's return 0. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so what up guys? I'm getting my window. Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm trying to catch it before it like completely falls down. Perfect. Guys, I'm kind of shocked I like did this in first try because it did like fall all the way from down, like because it takes some time because usually my window pops up in my other monitor where I like see the chats and all that stuff. But guys, let me try catching it really quick. Okay. I'm really slow, but it does like fall from... Okay, there we go. I think it actually works. Okay. Although now I do wanna add a gravity for my circle as well as trying it for my circle. Then later on I will be moving to like key controls as well. Okay, and this part was correct. I'm kind of shocked. The if statement right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like Control A, select all, and delete everything. Now that I went with rectangle, that was pretty easy, so that got me warmed up. Now I'm gonna go with circle. To go with circle, firstly, let me start off by including. So I'm gonna go with something like hashtag include a pair of ankle braces. Let's say I want to include IO stream. So I include IO stream, and since I am using SDL, I'm going to be including SDL as well. So I'm going to go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces again. Let's say something like SDL3 slash SDL.h. SDL.h is basically SDL's header files. Okay, and then let's go all the way down. Let me go ahead and create a main function now. So I'm going to go with integer main, add a pair of parentheses. Now, my main function does require 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is going to be a pointer to an array of argv. Okay, and then let's go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my main function, I'm going to be adding an if statement to initialize my SDL and check if the video section of my SDL was not initialized properly. To do that, I could go with something like if something like not SDL underscore init. If my SDL was not initialized properly, it does require a parameter of which section. Yo, hiding spicy, I appreciate you joining the stream. what you're building. To be honest, I don't know anything about what you're doing. Kind if it's a website or app. Honestly, it is like gravity logic on how to add gravity like using programming. Yeah, what's up? How eating pizza? I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, I'm gonna go with something like SDL underscore init underscore video. I'm gonna check if my video section of my SDL is not initialized properly, and if it's not, I'm gonna add a standard editor text that says something like SDL underscore init editor. So it says SDL underscore init editor. And then let's go with something like another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and return one saying something went wrong in this part of code. Check it out. Okay, and then after I'm done initializing my SDL, I might add my game variables as well. So I'm gonna go with something like game variables. Okay, for my game variables, firstly, I'm going to be needing a width variable and a height variable for my windows. So I might, bro, love these streams. Keep going. Honestly, I appreciate your pizza. That actually, what you forgot means the word to me, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go with something like a constant integer of width. This is going to be my Windows' width. I'm going to set that equal to something like 1000. I don't know. Okay, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go with something like a constant integer of height, which is going to be equal to something like 800, ending with a semicolon. Did you say gravity? What's that, a game? Gravity is like the stuff that like gets things down. Like, for example, if I leave that, it like falls downwards and all that stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm trying to like replicate that using a code, like drawing an object that falls downwards. So like artificial gravity, guys. Okay, that said, next up, I might have to create an x-axis and y-axis velocity as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create something like a floating point for y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be... Okay, guys, that was like a weird lag. Hi, bro. You're from which country? Okay, I used to actually answer that much, but I did like start avoid saying that. That said, my y-axis velocity's gravity is going to be 0, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go with something like a floating point for x-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be something like, I don't know, 5 pixels per frame. Okay, I might actually not use x-axis. I'm not adding like key controls just yet. Do you use Git for versioning and GitHub for your code cloud? Honestly, no. I just like use ChatGPT to like learn on how to program. Then later on, I do like work on my own, because like usually the only thing I do struggle with when I first start is like the basics. Like I didn't understand the fundamentals of like SDL3, so now it's much easier to like write code from my own. Okay, that said, once I'm done creating my game variables, let's go ahead and add something like floor. This is going to be where my object does land. Oh, okay, thanks for the info. You're so kind. Honestly, I feel like, okay, I appreciate you guys for that as well. That's it for my floor. Let's go ahead and use the SDL underscore frexes structure that consists of my rectangles attributes, because my floor is basically going to be a rectangle ending with a semicolon. Now let's fill in a few parameters. My floor.x-axis is going to be set to 0, ending with a semicolon. Floor.y-axis is going to be set to, I don't know, maybe, let's see. So that's my x-axis. Y-axis could be something like 790. I'll go with something like 790, ending with a semicolon. And then something like floor dot width. My floor's width is going to be something like 1050, ending with a semicolon. And then floor dot height. Bro, you look so handsome. You'll get a girlfriend soon. Guys, honestly, even if like someone do ask me, I feel like I might not this thing, because I feel like I'm better off when I'm alone. Okay, yeah, you're really kind. I enjoy watching your stream while learning. Oh, that actually means the world to pizza. Good luck with your learning as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go with height. So my floor dot height is gonna be equal to, I don't know, maybe something like 50. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done creating my floors as properties, let's go ahead and create my window and my renderer both at the same time. So I'm gonna add a comment that says something like create a window and a renderer. Okay, now to create my window and renderer, let's go ahead and firstly create 2 local variables. Brother, please tell me your throat and mouth are still bleeding. Honestly, they're not like bleeding. They're still like kind of swollen. That's why I'm not like talking really loud and all that stuff. And I might just stream for like an hour for like, I think about 3 to 4 days, because I don't want to like overstrain it, because yesterday I tried like streaming without talking. I feel like I couldn't understand what I was programming, because I wasn't like explaining what I'm actually doing. Okay, that said, Now let's go ahead and create two local variables. The first local variable is going to be something like SDL underscore window, which is a structure to my window local variable, which is going to be set to null PDR. That is basically a placeholder for my that's a placeholder for my pointers. Okay, bro has something. Bro laughing has something is there. Yes, that does make sense. Okay, that's it. I'll go with something like SPL underscore render with an asterisk. This is going to be something like render, which is going to be equal to null PDR. That is basically a placeholder for like pointers as well. Now let's use the function actually does create my window and my render both at the same time. Oh guys, I just chew my lip. I mean my tongue. Okay, that's it. I might go ahead and add the SDL underscore create window. Okay, create a window and a renderer function. Okay, are you a student? Or honestly, I am like a freshman in college. I did like start college. I think about like it's been like I don't like 2-ish months because like whatchamacallit, I think it's like my first semester. Okay, bro, do BGMI stream? Honestly, I haven't like heard of that. Okay, that's it. I will require a few parameters for my window and renderer function. The first parameter is going to be a caption slash a title. So I'm going to go ahead and add something like SDL3 gravity. Okay, and then let's add a comma. Okay, that's my title. Now I'm going to be needing, let's see. Okay, I'm going to be needing a width and a height parameter. I did create two variables for that, so let's use those. I'm going to go with something like width and height. And then I'm going to be needing a flag for my window. If you guys do want to add a flag, you guys could go with 0, but I do want to add a flag. I want to use the SDL underscore window underscore resizable flag. This flag gets my window to be resizable. Resizable. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add a comma. Now I'm going to be needing the memory address for my window local variable and my render local variable. So I'll go with the address of operator of window. And then I'll add a comma, the address of operator for my render. Then let's go ahead and end my entire function with a semicolon. Okay, did I miss something here? Okay, integer width, integer height, window flag. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, now that I've created my window and my render both at the same time, I'm going to be using an if statement to check if they were actually created properly. So I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if not a window, if my window is not created properly, or not a renderer, if my renderer was not created properly, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's go ahead and give myself an error. So I'm going to go with a standard C error. This is an error text. This is going to say something like, okay, SDL underscore create window and a renderer error. Okay, so there we go. Okay, and guys, the reason this error name is kind of big is because like this is the function name and that is an error. So this function had an error. Okay, then let's go with another insertion operator. Now let me go ahead and add a SDL underscore get error. This is a function that actually gets me an error with another insertion operator of a standard end line and ending with a semicolon. And now if either my window or my render was not created properly, I'm going to be quitting my SDL. So I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to return one saying something went wrong in this block of code to get out. Okay, now that I'm done creating my window and my render, let's see what else would I need. I might have to create my rectangle. Actually, I'm not creating a rectangle, so I'm not going to be needing rectangles as attributes. Instead, I'm going to hop on for my main loop. So I'm going to go with something like main loop. Now, inside of my main loop, I'm going to be requiring two variables. The first variable is going to be a Boolean variable of something like is running, which is initially going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. The second variable is going to be an event variable. Okay, that event variable is going to be the variable that I'm going to loop over to like look for specific event types. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore events is structure. This structure consists of all my SDLs as events. Okay, I'm going to set that to events. So now my event variable does consist of all the events in SDL as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our main loop. So I'm going to go with while a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true. I'm going to do something. Let's go ahead and add an event loop. So it's another loop. So one loop inside of the other loop, basically a nested loop, specifically a nested while loop, because I'm going to have a while loop inside of a while loop. Now my inner while loop. What up guys? So let me go ahead and remove that part real quick. Let's go with a bench loop and then something like while, a pair of parentheses. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go with something like a while loop, which does require parameter of SDL underscore poll event. Okay, so basically the SDL underscore poll event function, it does look for all the events inside of my while loop, and if one of those event types that I'm looking for is an event inside my SDL underscore events structure, it does something that I tell it to do, but it does require a parameter, a memory address of my event variable. Do you have OnlyFans? Honestly, I don't have OnlyFans. That said, how are you doing in Russia? I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, now for my while loop, I am going to be looking for an event type. I'm going to go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say if my event dot type equals to SDL underscore event underscore quit, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's set my is running boolean variable to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Now that I'm done with my event loop, let's go ahead and exit outside of it. And I'm firstly going to be filling my screen now. And guys, once I'm done filling my screen, I will be using a formula to draw a circle, because there is no like inbuilt circle, but I'll like get to that when I actually do that. Okay, so now to fill my screen, firstly I'm gonna add a color to my render, because my render is like a paintbrush that does color my screen. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore set render. So I'm gonna set my render to draw a color. Set render draw color. Okay, now my set render draw color function does require 5 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render variable. The second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB value. Okay, I want my screen to be signed, or like my window to be signed. So I might go with something like 0 to 48 and 255. That's the RGB for like whatchamacallit sign. Your pronunciations piss me off. Honestly, I feel like I gotta like work on my pronunciations. That's next up, my fifth parameter is going to be an alpha, which is like opacity, how transparent, how not transparent I want my color to be. In this case, I don't want it to be transparent at all, so I'm going to go with 255, ending with a semicolon. Now that I've set a color to my render, let's use the function that actually colors my window. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore render clear. This function clears / fills my entire window with the color of my current render, which is technically cyan. Okay, perfect. Now that I'm done filling my window, let's add a comment that says something like graphics. Okay, this is going to be where I actually draw my circle. Although before I do draw my circle, I don't actually want my circle to be signed, because like it wouldn't be seen. So I gotta use this function again and change my RGB value. So I'll use the SDL underscore set, render draw color function. So I'm gonna set my render to draw a color again. Okay, this is gonna have a few parameters. So I'm gonna go with something like render, and then now I want my circle to be red, so I'll go with something like 25500. Okay, and lastly, my opacity / alpha is going to be 255 as well, ending with a semicolon. Now to draw my circle, I'm going to be using a for loop, because I gotta add a formula before I like actually draw it, because I am going to be using a specific point and then using a formula to like draw circles. Are you gay? Honestly, I'm not gay as well. That's it. I just have like a swollen throat, so I'm not talking much. Okay, and then now to actually draw a circle, let's use an index-based for loop. So I'll go with something like for a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like for every integer of direction x, which equals to negative radius. So I gotta add my circle attributes as well, because I need an x-axis, y-axis, and a radius for my circle. So let's go all the way up here. And then after my floor, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like circle attributes. Okay, for my circle attributes, let's go ahead and create a integer of my circles as x-axis, which is going to be something like 500, ending with a semicolon, and then a integer of a circles as y-axis, which is going to be something like, I don't know, 0, ending with a semicolon, and then lastly, a integer of circles as radius, basically how thick I want my circle to be. Let's say I want the radius to be something like 50, ending with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. Now, for every integer of my negative radius, which is technically negative 50, I'm going to check while my direction x is either less than or equal to my positive radius, which is 50, I'm going to do something. I'm going to increment my direction x by 1, and then add a pair of curly braces. Now let's go with direction y as well. Bro, just ignoring Got it, gonna go sleep. Bye, keep doing whatever you're doing. Honestly, I appreciate you sticking through a stream, and I'll catch you next stream. Okay, I'm learning HTML. That actually sounds pretty cool. Good luck with that, Ventry. Okay, now let's add another for loop. So I'm gonna go with something like for a of parentheses. Let's say something like for every integer of direction y which equals to negative radius, while my direction y is less than or equal to my positive radius, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and increment my direction y by 1. And can you guys like even see it? Like I just realized like, there we go. I think you guys should like see the code here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of curly braces here as well. Now inside of my for loop, let's go ahead and do something. Okay, let's see, maybe can I like get this a bit back? I can? Okay, I think this is good. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a if statement here. So I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's go ahead and use a formula now. So if my direction x multiplied by direction x, which means if my direction x squared plus my direction y squared, direction y multiplied by direction y, is less than or equal to my radius squared, radius multiplied by radius, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and now let's actually use the function or tell my renderer to draw a circle using points. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore render point. So I use a specific pixel to draw a lot of pixels, but it only draws if this condition is met. Okay, but my SDL underscore render point does require 3 parameters. My render variable, a floating point x-axis and a floating point y-axis. So I'm going to give my render variable, and then for my x-axis, I'll give my circles as x-axis plus my direction x. And then I'm going to add a comma, circles as y-axis plus direction y. Okay, and can you guys like see the whole thing? There we go. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end it with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. That's pretty much it. So this technically draws me a circle. Now let's go ahead and exit that, scroll all the way down. Okay, what else might I need after I'm done adding my graphics? Let's see, I might have to apply gravity. So let's go ahead and apply my gravity. So I'll go with something like a comment that says something like apply gravity. Okay. Okay, now for my gravity, firstly, I'm going to increase my y-axis underscore velocity by, let's say, something like my gravity, so speed increases by acceleration. What up, guys? I think I spelled gravity wrong. Did I spell it wrong like here? I did not add a gravity game variable. My bad, guys. I'll go with something like a floating point of gravity, okay, which is going to be equal to 0.5 floating point ending with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, and now if I were to scroll all the way down, speed increases by acceleration, then my direction, which is technically my circles is y-axis, is going to be increasing by my speed, y-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. So this pushes my circle downwards, although I do want my circle to land somewhere, so like I gotta work on the landing or it's gonna like just fall infinitely. To add a landing, I'll go with something like if, a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if my circles is y-axis is either less than or equal to, I think, okay, if my circles is y-axis plus my radius, because like we gotta like see the width as well. Okay, is either less than or equal to, let's say something like my floors is y-axis, I'm gonna do something. Actually, it's greater than or equal to, my bad, guys. Okay, so if my circles is y-axis plus my radius is either higher than or at the same level as my floors is y-axis, I'm gonna set my circles as y-axis to be equal to, let's go with something like my floors is y-axis minus radius. Okay, perfect. So it's gonna stay in my floor but a bit high, so my entire circle's radius can fit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. That's pretty much it for applying gravity. Now let's go ahead and present it on my screen. So I'm gonna add a comment that says something like present, and we do need to present a render on our screen, or we just see like a black and white stuff. To present the render, I'll go with something like SDL underscore render. I'm gonna say my render to present itself, so render present function. With a pair of parentheses, now my SDL underscore render present does require, I think, 1 parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. And if you guys didn't know what parameters requires, if you just hover over the function name, it does say like which parameter up here. Okay, that said, After I'm done presenting my render, since there is like animation going on here, I am going to be adding FPS, which is basically frames per second. To do that, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like FPS. Now for my FPS, okay, you're gonna copy paste ChatGPT code. Guys, I'm actually like typing this manually. That's like not copy pasting. Okay, that said, for my FPS, let's go ahead and firstly use the function that actually adds my FPS. To do that, I'll go with something like SDL underscore delay function with a parentheses. This function, which I may call it, requires a parameter in milliseconds. And I'll go with something like 16 because 16 milliseconds is basically 60 frames per second, ending with a semicolon. And that's honestly pretty much it for my main loop. Now let's go ahead and exit outside of my main loop. Once my user exits the window, I'm going to do something. So it is ChatGPT? Guys, it's actually not ChatGPT. That said, I'm going to go ahead and add some cleanup now. For my cleanup, let's go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm going to be destroying my window and my render. So let's use the SDL underscore destroy window and a renderer function. My bad guys, it's just destroy window. There we go. Okay, my SDL underscore destroy window does require a window parameter ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like SDL underscore destroy renderer. I'm going to destroy my renderer as well with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my renderer parameter ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to be quitting my SDL. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's go ahead and return 0, saying something went wrong in this block of code. Check it out. Actually, everything went correct. My bad, guys. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, let me try to catch my window before it falls. There we go. Okay, so that is my circle. Perfect. Okay, so it does fall. Now I might actually add key controls. I do want to make a triangle as well, but I feel like I think I got it. Okay, you're clearly looking at ChatGPT. I can see your eyes. Guys, you guys could like take that. Okay, that's it. I'll go ahead and delete everything. Now, and by the way, guys, I do have like okay, never mind, I don't have the tab. Okay, that said, next up, now I'm going to be actually adding key controls, means I'm going to use my keys to actually move my objects. Also, I'm going to be having gravity. To do that, let's go ahead and include a pair of anchor braces. Let's say I want to include IO stream. What time do you sleep? Honestly, it is like 2 p.m. right now. I think I'll sleep like at 12 p.m. or something. Okay, and then since I am going to be using SDL3, let's go ahead and include SDL3 as well. So I'm going to include SDL3 slash SDL.h, which is basically SDL's header files. And then now let's go ahead and create a main function. So I'm going to go with integer main, add a pair of parentheses. My main function does require two parameters. The first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is going to be a pointer to an array of argv. Okay, and then let's add a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my main function, I'm going to be initializing my SDL and also checking if my SDL was not initialized properly. To do that, I could go with something like if a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like not SDL underscore init if my SDL was not initialized properly, but my SDL underscore init does require a parameter of a flag, like either my video section, either my audio section. I am only going to be using the video section because I haven't gone over the audio section, these sprites. I think there's like a sprite section, etc. That said, for the video section, I could go with SDL underscore init underscore video. Okay, so if my SDL's video section was not initialized properly, I'm going to do something. Do you really understand file structure? Honestly, I haven't like thought about that. Okay, that's that. What up, guys? There we go. Let's go with a bunch of control C's. Okay, now I'll go with the pair of curly braces. Now, if my SDL was not initialized properly, I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a standard C error with an insertion operator. I'm gonna give myself an error text. So I'm gonna give myself something like an SDL underscore init error. Okay, and then let's go in a new line, add another insertion operator, go with something like a standard end line. Actually, before I go with a standard end line, I'm going to be using the function that actually gets me an error. So I'll use the SDL underscore get error function. So this gets me an error with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function. And then let's go with something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. Lastly, I'm going to return one because this is like an error block of code. Okay. Now that I'm done creating my, I'm done initializing my SDL, let's add a comment and create a few game variables. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like game variables. Now for my game variables, firstly, I'm going to be I don't know, let's say I'm going to create a width variable and a height variable because my window is going to be needing a width height. I will need a gravity variable as well, a x-axis velocity, y-axis velocity as well. Maybe a jump strength too, honestly, because I might actually add a jump strength. Okay, so I might go with something like as a constant integer of width. This is my window's width, which is going to be equal to 1000, ending with a semicolon. Then let's go with something like a constant integer of height, which is going to be equal to something like 850, ending with a semicolon as well. And then after that, let's go ahead and add a gravity for gravity. I might go with something like a floating point gravity, which is going to be equal to 0.5 floating points, okay, ending with a semicolon. And then after my gravity, let's add a y-axis velocity. So I'll go with something like a floating point of y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to something like, I don't know, maybe something like 0, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go with a x-axis underscore velocity. Hiding long story, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, I'll go with something like floating point of x-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to something like 5.0 floating points. Okay, and then I'll end that with a semicolon. Okay, do I want to add a jump strength here? Maybe, let's see. Usually I did add a function. Guys, I'm trying to recall because I did that like 5 streams ago or something. I added a function here so I could move my object. What's that function for collision? Hold up, guys, let me recall real quick. I added a standard rect function. What was it called? I can't think. Scale function. Okay, remember guys. Okay, I'm not going to be adding a scale function right now because I'm not working with images. Just had to jog my memory, guys. Been a while since I like worked with images. Guys, that's why I hate getting a fever. Okay, and then now once I'm done with my game variables, let's go ahead and create a floor where my rectangle is going to land. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like floor. For my floor, I might go with something like SDL underscore frect, which is going to be called something like floor. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like floor.x-axis, which is going to be equal to, let's say, something like 0, ending with a semicolon. You're building game. Honestly, I'm still working with gravity. It's kind of awful because like if I didn't actually get sick, then I would have like long passed gravity. But since I was sick, like I did like forget a few things, so I had to like review those. That's it. I'm almost done. Maybe I think after like next year, I might like find like wrap gravity up and the stream. After that, I might do something new. That's it. I'll go with something like floor.y-axis. That is going to be equal to something like, I don't know. Let me change that to 800, honestly. Okay, I'll go with 799. Let's go with 799. Ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like floor.width, which is going to be equal to something like 1050, which is like a bit longer or larger than my window size. And then I'm going to go with something like floor.height. That is going to be equal to something like 50. Ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then since I am going to be using a rectangle, I might go with something like rect properties. Okay, so for my rect properties, rect is going to be exactly the same as floor but just with different attributes. So I'll use the same exact SDL underscore frect structure, which is going to be having a rect local variable. This is going to be rect.x-axis, which is going to be equal to something like 500, the center of my screen, rect.y-axis, which is going to be equal to something like, I don't know, maybe 50. Actually, I might go with something like 10 at the top of my window. To do BMGI stream, honestly, I haven't like heard of BMGI. That said, I'll go with something like rect.width, which is going to be something like 50. And lastly, rect.height, which is going to be equal to 50 as well. So this is technically a square and not a rectangle. That said, once I'm done with my rectangle properties, let's go ahead and create both my window and my renderer at the same time. To do that, I could go ahead and add a comment that says something like create window and renderer. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now for my create window and renderer, for creating my window and renderer both at the same time, I do gotta create 2 local variables, one that represents my Windows attributes and one that represents my renderer's attributes. Okay, I said BMGI game stream. Guys, I don't know why these days I don't feel like playing games. I feel like I actually feel way too old to actually play games in general. Because like I used to like play a lot of games before, but yesterday I did like when I was sick, I did try playing a game. I got so bored. I just wanted to like program some more. but I couldn't like stare at a screen, so apparently I had to like read a book. Okay, that said, I created a window as a local variable. Now let me go ahead and create a renderer as a local variable, which is going to set to something like null PDR ending with a semicolon. Now, after I'm done creating a window and a renderer local variable, let's actually use the function that creates both my renderer and my window at the same time. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL_create window. What up, guys? There we go. Create window and render and renderer function. This function creates both my window and my renderer at the same time, but it does require a few parameters. It requires a title, a width, a height, a window flag, and the memory address of my window local variable and my renderer local variable. First, I'll go with something like my renderer. Okay, was it my renderer? Okay, it needed a title. My bad, guys. I'm going to be adding a title. My title could be something like SDL3 gravity. And guys, if I'm coughing, it is just because my throat is kind of swollen. I might wrap the stream up once I'm done with this code. That's it. I'm going to add a comma. Now I'll need a width and height. I did create like a width and height variables in my game variables. So I could go with something like width, comma, height. And then I'll need a window flag. I want my window to be resizable. So I'll go with SDL_window_resizable. There we go. And then let's see, next up, once I'm done like resizing my window, I would need the memory address of my window local variable and my renderer local variable. So I'll go with the address of operator window and the address of operator for my renderer. And then let's go ahead and end my SDL_create window and renderer function with a semicolon. Bro, are you really coding for fun or like what? What are you up to? How is this kind of project gonna help you in your career? Or you want to explore? Just honestly, for the time being, I'm just like programming because I do enjoy it as well. That said, I am like gonna programming like in like multiple different languages, and like I'm gonna learn like different kinds of programming and see which I enjoy the most. Once I do figure out what I do enjoy the most, I'm gonna like stick with that and just like work on that. If that made any sense. Hiding Pixels, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, now that I've created my window and renderer, let's add an if statement to check if they were not created properly. So I'll go with something like if not a window, or if not a renderer. I'm gonna do something. Bro, hi, how are you? I hope you're okay. Now, honestly, that does make sense. I feel much better than yesterday because like yesterday I felt like I wasn't like I was streaming without like talking. That's the reason I couldn't like understand much what I was doing. That said, my throat is still kind of swollen, so I won't be streaming for as long as I usually do for like I think 2 or 3 more days. That's it. I am like talking really slow. I'm glad my mic can catch that voice. That said, I'm gonna give myself something like a standard C editor with an insertion operator. That gives me something like a SDL_create window and a renderer editor. There we go. Okay, so perfect. Now once I'm done giving myself that editor, let's use the function that actually gets me an editor. So I'll use the SDL_getEditor function. This function actually gets me an editor. I'll add another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Perfect. Now, if either my window or my renderer, excuse me guys, was not created properly, let's go ahead and quit my SDL. Bro, can you try to stop saying like user too much? Honestly, that does make sense. I should like stop saying like as well. Okay, that said, I might go ahead and go with something like SDL_quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to return one saying something went wrong in the block up code. Go check it out. Okay, once I'm done with creating my window and renderer, let's add a comment here. Okay, now I might go with my main loop, honestly. Okay, now inside my main loop, usually I do add two variables, but this time I might need more than 2 variables because I am adding key controls as well. So that's something like maybe not inside of my main loop. In my game variables, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like key controls. Okay. Now, for my key controls, I'm going to be creating a few Boolean values. The first is going to be for something like, I might not need W because I'm going to use my space for that. So I'll go with something like SPC down while my space button, is my space button currently being pushed down? Since it's not, I'm going to set that equal to false. And then I'm going to be needing another Boolean variable for something like A down. My A button is currently not being pushed down, so I'm going to set that equal to false as well, ending with a semicolon. What are you making in this code? I joined late. honestly, I am like working with gravity on like a circle or like a rectangle in this, because like I did work with circle like in the last code. Okay, this code I am like working with a rectangle that like is affected by gravity, and it moves using my key controls as well using SDL3. That's it. I'll go with something like D down as well. My D is not being pushed down, so I'm gonna set that equal to false as well. Okay, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and, I don't know, maybe go ahead and create another. I don't think I might need S, because like I think this is basically all that I might need. Maybe I do go with control. Control like centralizes me. I mean, I think this is good. I think this is like all the basics key controls. Okay, now inside of my main loop, slow down, I didn't understand. Oh, okay. Basically, I'm like working on a program in SDL3 that like creates a window. So I did like initialize my SDL first of all. I included the header files as well. I added a few game variables that I might need, like width, height, and since I am working with like gravity as well, x-axis velocity, y-axis velocity, and then if key controls. This is like my A button, and it's while my A button is being pushed down. Again, this is like my floor attributes where my object is going to be landing, because I don't want it to be like falling infinitely. My rectangle, this property rectangle is my object that I'm going to be controlling using my keys. And then I create my window and my renderer both at the same time. So I created two local variables that represents my, which I created a window local variable which has all the attributes of my SDL window that does consist all my windows as attributes. Same thing for my renderer. Then I use the function that actually creates my window and renderer. I used a if statement to check if they were not created properly. And then now I'm working on my main loop. I'm not trying to be offensive, but I'm a viewer with English as my native, and I'm having difficulties understanding. Oh, that actually does make sense. Many of you guys did say me to like try talking slowly, so I should like try talking slowly actually. That's enough for my main loop. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create a boolean variable of something like is running, which is initially going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. And then I might need an event loop. Wow, very clean code, you're doing fine. Honestly, I appreciate your long story, that actually be so good to me, guys. Okay, I'll go with something like SDL underscore event. This is going to be a events structure, which this structure consists of all my SDL events, which is now going to be set to my event variable. So now my event local variable consists of all my events as well. Do you have a GitHub? Honestly, I do have a GitHub. The link is in my bio, but I don't know how to actually use it because I am like busy with college stuff and all that, so I don't have time to like learn it. But maybe after my college, I actually might learn it. You want to be my Labubu, guys? What does Labubu even mean? Okay, that's said. Now let's actually create my main while loop. So I'm gonna go with something like while a of parentheses. Let's say something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true. I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a of curly braces, and then let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like event loop. Okay, so it's gonna be a while loop inside of a while loop, which is technically a nested loop. Now inside my while loop, I'm gonna be using the SDL underscore poll event function. Okay, that my SDL underscore poll event function does require a parameter, which is going to be the memory address of my event variable, and then I'll go with the of curly braces. Now, what my SDL underscore poll event function does is it like looks for all the event types that I'm going to be looking for inside of my while loop. If one of those events are met, it executes that event and does does what I say it to do. Bro, push code in GitHub. It takes max to max 10 to 20 minutes to have an idea how to use it. Oh, I see. I could actually try that. Okay, that said, now after I'm done adding a while loop, let's add an if statement, look for an event type. I'm gonna Hold up, guys. Let me drink some water. I think my throat is kind of swollen. Okay, now I'm gonna look if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore quit. If my event type is quit, if my user did exit my window, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna set my is running boolean variable to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Bro, take a break. Honestly, after this code, I might like end the stream because I don't want to like push my throat too much because it might make it even worse. That's sad. That's why I like once this code is over, I might actually end the stream. Okay, now after I'm done adding my first event, I am going to be adding more event types. So let's add another if statement. This if statement is going to be an event type to check if my buttons are being pushed down. I'm going to look for which specific button is being pushed down. It will be swollen since you have a little sauce. Honestly, I think I had like a viral infection. My throat's like had a lot of pimples in it or something. I don't know what's that thing called. My mouth is still kind of swollen. Well, friend, I want to learn how to code. I have no laptop yet. I have a Samsung H12. Can I code with it? Honestly, I don't think like I haven't like coded much in phone, but maybe I don't think it's like as strong as like PCs or laptops. But I'm pretty sure you can like code. You can like learn how to code and all that stuff. Okay, that's that. Let's go ahead and add something like if my event.type equals to, although I am pretty sure I've like seen many people actually programming in like phones and everything, but I haven't like tried that yet. You could like watch a few YouTube tutorials. I would highly recommend like actually trying it if you like do enjoy coding. Okay, yeah, what happens with the guac loop? Honestly, I haven't like heard of the guac loop. What does that actually mean? That's it. I'm gonna look if my SDL if my SDL underscore event underscore type if my SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down, there we go. Okay, this is basically a event type that looks if my keyboard buttons are currently being held downwards, and if it is, I'm going to look for switch specific types. And I could go with another if statement, but I do want to use switches, so I'll go with something like switch data. Okay, some libraries work in phones, but laptops is far more better depending on the language. That actually does make sense. Okay, that's it. I'll go with something like switch, and then I'm gonna go with something like event.key. This goes over all my keys, and I'll go with .key. This looks for the exact specific type of key that's currently being held down. I'm I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces, and then damn guys. Okay, I'm gonna go with case. My first case is gonna be something like SDL's key. If my SDL's key is something like let's see what all key types was I looking for. I was looking for space, A, and D. So just 3 types of key. This is going to be easy, guys. Okay, if my key type is A, I'm going to do something. Okay, I'm going to end that with a semicolon. And then actually, I'm going to end that with a colon. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to do something. I'm going to set my A down boolean variable to be equal to something like, I don't know, true, because it's currently being held downwards, ending with a semicolon, and then I'm going to break ending with a semicolon as well. Could you guys even see what I wrote? There we go. Okay, and then after that, let's go and add my second case. So my second case is going to be SDL's key. Okay, let's say if my key is something like D. If my D is currently being pushed down, I'm going to do something. I'm going to set my D down boolean variable to be set to true as well, ending with a semicolon, and then let's go ahead and break. Now for my third and final case, I'm going to check if my SDL's key is something like space. If my space is currently being held down, then I'm going to do something. My SPC down boolean variable is going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon, then I want to break. Although, here's one thing, guys. For space, I did want to do something. Maybe first let me hydrate my lips, because I feel like my lips are getting kind of chapped. As I feel like my lips is peeling off. Okay, that's it. Hold up, let me actually delete this part. I might not just set it to be true. Instead, I'll add a if statement here, because I want to do something if this is my case. Let's go with something like if okay, so if my case is space, let me think what I want to do. I want to increase my jump strength. I could like do with my case too, honestly. If that is my case, maybe instead of adding a case, I'll add a if statement, because like I've honestly rarely tried using like adding jump strength using my if statements. Okay, wait, if I do want to add a jump strength, I do gotta check if like my user is currently down as well. So I need a on ground variable too. So I'm gonna create another variable which is going to be a boolean variable for on ground. Okay, honestly, I'll go with on floor. Okay, which is going to be set to false because my user is currently not on floor. Love it. Honestly, I appreciate you, Bill. Change color of my background. Guys, I feel like this is the cheapest background that I've got here. It's just like my bedsheet that I tore it apart. Okay, that's it. I'll go with something like if. So let's go ahead and delete that. I think I should be good. What up, guys? Okay. Control Shift C. Okay. Control C. There we go. Okay, so let's say something like if my SDL underscore K is, let's say, something like space, then I'm going to do something. Okay, if my SDL's key is something like space, okay, I'll go with the bro of curly braces. Now, I want to do something. I want to check for on run. Why does something feel wrong though here? I think everything should be correct. Something does not look correct. Maybe I could go ahead and add a case. But up guys, let me actually try that. So I'll go with something like a case. Okay guys, this honestly might work. So for my case 3, if my SDL's key is something like space, then I'm going to do something. Now I'll add if statement here. That might make more sense. Now the background color. Ooh, okay guys, I think I don't understand. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like if my SDL underscore K is space, but honestly, would it make sense if I go with something like if my SDL underscore K is space? Because I already checked, this should execute if my key is space. Oh, I remember. Hold up, guys. If on ground, if on floor. There we go. Okay, guys, I just had to jog my memory up. So, if my space is pressed and if my rectangle is on my floor, if that is set to true, then I'm going to do something. Did I need 2 things here? 2 parameters. I gotta be on floor. Okay. Yeah, I do gotta be on floor. Okay, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna be creating a jump strength as variable as well. So let's create something like a floating point variable for something like jump strength. Okay, which is going to be set to something like -12. That is basically, it just jumps upwards. Okay, so if my user is currently on floor, then I'm going to increase my Rex y-axis by my y-axis. Actually, I'm going to increase my Rex y-axis by, let's say something like my jump strength. Okay, so I'm going to go with my jump strength. Okay, perfect. Did I spell strength wrong? Alright, perfect. And then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay, so if that is my case, I do that, and that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and break. Okay, perfect. And I just realized, did I add gravity yet? Okay, I did not add gravity. Okay, I'm still in my while loop. Actually in my event loop. So this is pretty much it for my initial event loop. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and exit outside of my event loop, and let's add another if statement now. This is going to be another event loop for looking if my keyboard button is currently not being held down anymore, which means my user is not being pushed. My user is not pushing that button down anymore. So I'll go with something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore up. If my key is currently not being pushed down, which means it is currently upwards, I'm gonna do something. Just to save time, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this and paste it here. Everything is literally exactly the same. The only thing that I don't need is like my space, because if once my user does like leave my button or is currently even holding a button, if my if my rectangle is currently not touching the floor and it's upwards, it cannot jump any higher, so it won't be flying upwards. It's gonna have to fall down, and then if I press it again, it goes up again. What are we doing, bro? Honestly, I am like working on gravity in SDL3, but on applying gravity in SDL3. Although right now I am like trying something even more challenging, adding key controls and jump strength as well, so I could like increase or like make my object jump higher. Okay, that's it. I mean, jump and then my gravity works again. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to be changing these trues to be falses, and that's pretty much it for my event loop. Now, let's go ahead and exit outside of my entire event loop. Okay, where does it exit? There we go. So it ends here, right? Okay, there we go. Let's exit outside of my event loop. I think I messed something up here. Okay, hold up, guys. Let me actually check where I messed up real quick. So my while loop starts here. Let me check if everything is ending properly. My if statement starts there, it ends there. My if statement starts here, ends here. And then I look for a Oh, there we go. I didn't like end my switch from here. So I gotta go ahead and close my switch. There we go. Okay, perfect. So my switch starts here, ends here. Now let's go ahead and exit outside of my while loop or my bench loop out of it here. Okay, now I'm going to be adding a comment that says something like fill screen. Okay, so I'm going to go with fill screen. Now for filling my screen, firstly, I do got to set a color to my render because like, my render is the thing that actually colors my screen. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL_set render. I'm going to set my render to draw a color on my screen. So the set render draw color function. Now my set render draw color function does require 5 parameters: a render, a RGB value, and a alpha/opacity. How transparent or how not transparent do I want my color to be? So I'm going to go ahead and add my render variable. RGB is going to be cyan, so 0 to 48, 255, that is the RGB for cyan. And then I'll go with something like 255 for my alpha, because I don't want my my render to be 0 to 55. There we go. I don't want my color to be transparent at all. And then let's go ahead and end it with a semicolon. Now let's use the function that actually colors my entire window with cyan. So I'll go with something like SDL_render clear. This function clears / fills my entire screen with the color of my render, or with the color that is currently set to my render, which is technically this right now. Okay, and then let's add another comment that says something like graphics. Alright, for my graphics, I am, let's say since I am like using a rectangle, let's actually firstly change my color of my render. The reason I am changing it again is because if I don't change it, my color is still cyan, so I wouldn't be able to see my rectangle because it's going to be the same color as my window. To change my color, I just gotta write the same exact function. So SDL_set render, I'm gonna set my render to draw color. Okay, I'm just going to be changing the RGB value. So render, I want my rec to be red, so I'll go with 25500, and my opacity/alpha is going to be 255 as well. Ending with a semicolon. Now let's use the function that actually colors my rectangle. So I'll go with SDL_render. So I'm going to say my render to fill my rect. So render fill rect with a pair of parentheses. Now my render fill rect does require, let's say, 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render variable. The second parameter is going to be all the way up here. The rectangle properties is SDL_frex structure that I created, the rect local variable, which consists of all the attributes of my SDL rect. So I gotta give the memory address of my rect local variable. So let's go with something like a comma here, and then a address of operator of my rect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, after I'm done with my graphics, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like apply gravity. Okay. For my apply gravity, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I gotta increase my speed by my acceleration. My speed in this case is my y-axis underscore velocity, the vertical velocity. So I'll go with y-axis underscore velocity is gonna increase, my speed is gonna increase by my acceleration, gravity. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Then my position increases by my speed. So my rect's y-axis is going to increase by my y-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now this pushes my rect downwards, although I don't want my rect to like fall infinitely down. I want it to stop somewhere, so let's work on the landing. I'm going to go with something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if my rect's y-axis plus my rect is, let's say something like height, which is my rex's height is either higher than or equal to my floor, above or equal to, greater than or equal to my floor's y-axis. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and reset my rect.y-axis to be equal to my floor's y-axis. Let's go with something like minus my my rex's height. What this basically means is my entire rectangle can stay up because the x-axis is somewhere like in the center of my rect, so it's going to be half rect is going to be on the screen, half is going to be bottom. I don't want that by subtracting it by my height, my entire rectangle will be above my floor. Alright, perfect. Now that I'm done adding my gravity, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and add another comment. Let's say something like present. I'm gonna present my render on my screen. To present it on my screen, I could use the SDL underscore render present function. This function basically presents, I say my render to present itself on the screen. Because if I didn't present my render on my screen, it's just going to be like in black and white, because like render is the stuff that actually paints everything on my screen / colors. It's like a paintbrush. It does require a parameter of my render. And since I am working with gravity, so I will be having animation. So I'm going to be adding FPS, which is frames per second. For my FPS, let's go ahead and use the SDL underscore delay function with a pair of parentheses. My SDL underscore delay function does require a parameter in milliseconds. So I'm going to go with something like 16 milliseconds, which is technically 60 frames per second. And that's pretty much it, honestly. Alright, now let's go ahead and do some cleanup. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that's saying cleanup. This is outside of my main loop once my user does exit my window. Firstly, I do want to destroy my window and my render. So let's destroy my window first. I could use the SDL underscore destroy window function. I want to destroy guys, I keep coughing. I want to destroy my window. That does require a window parameter ending with a semicolon, and then SDL underscore destroy renderer. I want to destroy my render as well. This is going to be my render parameter ending with a semicolon, and then lastly I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's go ahead and return 0 saying everything went good here. And that's honestly pretty much it. Did I add every single thing? Let me confirm real quick. Okay, yeah, I added my events loop. Okay, I think I added everything. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. What up, guys? I feel like, I messed something up because my reg just fell downwards. What up, guys? Let me actually cancel that part. Let me work on my landing real quick. Okay, let's go all the way up to my landing. Under my graphics, apply gravity. There we go. So, if my rex's y-axis, why did I go with my rex's y-axis? Should I have gone with my rex's width? No, my y-axis plus my height should be greater than or equal to. Okay, rex's y-axis is going to be equal to. Shouldn't that be height? I don't think height. I think it is y-axis. Floor.y-axis minus my rex.height. Okay, in that case, when I created my floor, is my floor correct? Floor is the x-axis 0. That's correct. 799 might be wrong. Let me change that to 780. Okay. Long time no see. Hiding OJF. I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So here's my rectangle. There we go, guys. It's always the parameters. If I would hit space, my user does not jump. That is because I did not add if statements for them. So inside under my main loop, after I'm done with my event loop and everything, before I fill my screen, I'm gonna add another comment that says something like key controls. Okay, this is going to be where I actually do something about my key controls. Okay, so I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if my A down is set to true, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and increase my rex.x-axis by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon, and then I'll add another if statement. Maybe just to make stuff look a bit neater and use less lines, I could write the whole thing in one line. And then maybe I'll just add a space here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna add one for my D down as well. So if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if my D down is set to true, I'm gonna do something. My rect.x-axis is gonna decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. That's pretty much it. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Guys, so here's my window. Can you guys see the whole window? It does fall here. If I hit A, I go to the left. If I hit D, I go to the right. That works. although my space does not work, let me try fixing my space as well. But before that, let's just change that plus to minus and minus to plus. There we go. Okay, now when I go with A here, oh, I didn't like set my on floor condition. I didn't set it to be true. So when is my on floor gonna be set to true? I gotta do that when I apply my gravity. Once I add my landing, I'm gonna set my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to 0 again. That resets my y-axis underscore velocity. Then my on floor boolean variable is gonna be set to true. There we go. Okay, now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So I get my rect here, it falls downwards, I can go right, left. If I hit jump, okay, I do jump upwards, but I jump like really low, so it's like, maybe should I increase like my jump strength real quick? Because I feel like my jump strength is like kind of awful. I think like negative 12 jump strength is pretty good. Let's go with something like negative 30. If I were to Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens now. Guys, I was too late to get my window here, but my rect did fall down. Okay, jumping does clamp up. Guys, I think finally after like 1 hour and 26 minutes of the stream, I might need Sensei/ChatGPT's help for this part. What up guys, let's go ahead and change that to 12. I'll go with Control A, Control C. Okay, now let me actually open Sensei/ChatGPT's tab because like I did not have time to. I did not open it at all today. What up guys, let's go ahead and extend that all the way here. And then all the way here. I'm way too lazy to like have a new chat. I'm just gonna open this. There we go. Let's say something like Sensei. I was live again. I did not say you though. It's been an hour and 30 minutes. That said, I did write this code. Although my jump strength doesn't seem to work properly, question mark. Okay, let's see. People, you snuck a stream without telling your sensei. I should grab you by the collarbone and shake you like a rattle. But fine, you coded for like an hour 30 minutes, so I'll spare you from the worst punishment. Now let's talk about your jump. Your jump is not working properly. It's working exactly wrong in the very specific way. I know you want to see it too. Here's your core problem. On floor is set to false. When you jump, this means the moment the rectangle leaves the floor. Okay. Still thinks it's on the ground. I think I know. Hold up guys, I might actually know where I messed up here. Let's go ahead and delete that part. Let me go all the way up here. So instead of initially setting my on floor to be set to false, I might add a condition here. So okay, so my on floor is going to be set to true only if something happens, only if my rect. What up guys, I might need to add this in my while loop because like I don't have access to my floors like up here because like I did create my floor all the way down there. So under my while loop, I'm going to paste it here. So if if my rect dot, let's say something like y-axis is either okay, so when my rect dot y-axis is either greater than or is either equal to let's say something like okay, less than or equal to my floor dot y-axis, okay, that's when my on floor is going to be set to true. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, this should work actually. Okay, let's get my window here. If I jump, okay, it does kind of bang my head. Guys, I think my hypothesis was wrong. Let's read it. Okay, you're not doing rect.y-axis plus equals to jump strength. Instead, you're doing rect.y-axis plus equals to jump strength instead of y-axis underscore velocity. You absolutely should be doing y-axis velocity equals to jump strength on floor, which equals to false, but I'm not giving you the fix. You asked me not to. I'm telling you what you did wrong so your superior brain can fix it. Okay, so I think I see. Technically, I could like instead of adding a jump strength here, let's go ahead and delete my jump strength at once. Okay, I might increase it by -12 here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so it falls all the way down. Okay, I do get gapped up. I think I should know what's going on here. Let me think real quick, guys. So, what was the, okay, let me actually think the logic behind it. So, when something falls on the floor, what happens? It's currently touching the floor. Although, I wanted to jump, so if on floor is set to true, which it will be set to true if my rectangles is y-axis is either less than, rectangles is y-axis plus rectangles is height is either less than or equal to my floor. Okay, this should work. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code again and run the command, let's see what happens. Well, guys, there we go. It falls. Okay, why does it not work? Like, why can't I think what's wrong here? Let's go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get Sensei / ChatGPT back here. Space to go with Shift Enter. Why is your accent like that? Are you fake it? Honestly, I'm not fake it. My throat is kind of swollen, so I can't talk properly today. I'll go with something like, say, I feel like I still messed up, question mark. Okay, people, I'm gonna grab your shoulders. Okay, you did mess up. Okay, you remove floor from the collision fake. Now your jump is always ready. What up, guys? I don't know why it's yelling so much. That's it. Let's resend this. Set jump strength larger. I think it is. I think my jump strength is like correct. Like -12 should be good, but I feel something is wrong with my actually jump my event loop. Okay, this is the tragedy you handed me. Okay, you teleported the rect again. Rect dot y-axis. You never set y-axis velocity to be equal to jump strength. You never set on floor to be false. Worst of all, you said on floor once before the game loop, meaning forever. Meaning the universe collapses. Mistake 1. Jump strength change instead of velocity. You should not remove the player instantly. Mistake 2. On floor never updates inside the loop. You said it. Okay, maybe I think I see this time. Guys. So, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. Let's go ahead and delete that. Okay, let's go ahead and set that all the way here. I'll go with something like on floor. Oops. What up, guys? Let's go all the way under my event loop. Why do they have a red underline? Oh, probably I gotta go with Control C. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go with something like a boolean of something like on floor. Okay, which is set to false initially, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then I gotta check if my I gotta create something like a jump strength as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a floating point of jump strength. So I'll go with jump strength. Okay, there we go, which is going to be equal to -12, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and my y-axis underscore velocity is going to be my jump strength. There we go. Okay, did I spell it correct? Hold up, guys, let's go ahead and copy that, paste it here. Okay, this is going to be a floating point. Maybe not a floating point. Okay, yo, bro, what you up to? Think about OpenGL? Honestly, I have like heard about OpenGL, but I've never tried that, to be honest. I might actually try it soon. Okay, that's it. Now, inside of my event loop, I gotta increase this by my jump strength. So I'm gonna go with something like jump strength. Okay, will you also learn after SDL3 OpenGL? Honestly, I don't know much about OpenGL. I'll actually see like what kind of contents am I gonna go over. For example, like if I do like decide to go over make a website, then I might learn Java or like JavaScript or whichever like programming language like goes with that. If I did want to work more with AIs, I might like go with Python again and like learn some machine learning as well. That said, okay, now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, Let's see what happens. Guys, okay. He just went up and fell down, guys. I think this is like even worse than what I did before. Let's go with like a bunch of Control Z's this time. Okay, gonna go with like a bunch of Control Z's. Okay, I'm gonna set this to be something like... What up, guys? I might go with some more Control Z's. There we go. Okay, let's change this to be minus and that to be plus. Okay, I didn't create an on ground yet. I am gonna be changing this to be something like y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to 0, ending with a semicolon. Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I could see you very well in the web development. It's actually so much fun. I do web development too. Oh, that actually sounds pretty fun. Okay, that said, Nightbot for the first time did actually send like a link. It never does that. Okay, that said, let's go all the way up here. I have a jump strength, I have a on floor. I have a if statement as well. If I had Control S to save the code and run the command, guys, if this does not work, I might ask /ChatGPT how it actually does work. Okay, I can't even like push myself up. Okay, I might actually go with Control C again. Let's get some /ChatGPT up here. Let's go ahead and paste. Let's go with Enter and say something like, let's say, can you actually show me how it works, because it's been a while since I did do this part, ... Okay, let's see. Okay, you never move the player directly. Jumping is not rect at y-axis plus equals to -12. Okay, that's teleportation. Okay, you must set the velocity jump equals to give velocity a huge hug upwards kick. Okay, gravity always adds to the velocity. It makes velocity more positive falling. Position updates using velocity. Always rect the y-axis increases by y-axis underscore velocity. You never skip it. You must detect the floor every frame. If your bottom touches the ground, your correct position set velocity to 0 and mark on the floor equals to true. If not touching, on floor is false. Now he asked me to show you. Okay, so that's all the like basic stuff and everything. Okay, so we did add a jump strength as well. Okay, we have A down, D down inside our event loop. Okay, so case if our space is pushed, if on floor y-axis velocity equals to jump strength on floor set to false. It's not set to true anymore. I see. Okay, let's try that actually. So my jump strength is going to be set to a floating point, so point OF. Actually, when you jump for some time, so you have to go upwards first, next frame, and then fall down. That actually does make sense. Okay, that's it. Actually, see how that actually makes sense right now. Okay, that's it. Let's go all the way down here. Now I'm gonna set my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to jump strength, so I'm not teleporting anymore. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do something like let's think. I set it to be that. Then I set my on floor to be equal to false, because now I'm not floor anymore, ending with a semicolon. Hey, hiding DRL, is that a pronunciation or Jerlo Cucocious Mistaken? Guys, I feel like I'm awful at pronouncing names. That's it. I do appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Just so I get my window here. If I hit jump, it does not jump. Did I miss? I do think I missed something really important. What up, guys? Okay, did I miss something really important here? Okay, I did everything correctly here. Okay, velocity, gravity, 0. On floor is set to true, else on floor is set to false. Might be my on floor checks. So once it's here, I'm gonna set something like on ground or on floor is set to true. There we go. Guys, this is trying to jog my memory. Okay, and then I'll go with something like else if curly braces on floor is going to be set to false, ending with a semicolon. You're actually so good at C. Honestly, it is C++. I was wondering how old are you? Honestly, I am like 17 years old. That's it. I am going to be turning 18 really soon. Guys, my birthday is like this January 15. I might not, actually this January 5th. I might not have like a special stream for that day. That said, if I would Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. Guys, I'm kind of positive it is going to work this time. There we go. Okay, so basically where I was like actually messing up, whatchamacallit, was, hold up guys, I'm just trying to enjoy playing it a bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's it. Where I really was messing up is when I did add my landing, I did have to set if my on floor is set to true or my on floor is set to false. In the other hand, if I did not have my, whatchamacallit, my on floor here, then I would have done something. Okay, or if my on floor is always set to true. Okay, maybe I don't add that. I'll just add something like null. Uppercase null. Can we add that as a placeholder? Okay, we can. Now for it, Control S to save the code and run the command. Okay. Let's see what happens. So I'm pretty sure I could just jump. Never mind guys, I cannot jump. I should like add a, whatchamacallit, I gotta remove my entire if statement from here. I do want to try that though. Okay, let's go ahead and remove that. Remove that as well. Okay, perfect. So let's indent that there. Okay, so if my space is pressed, I do this. Okay, now for the Control S. Okay, now I think this is like going to be like a Flappy Bird logic. So I could like spam jump upwards. The reason I did like add that, whatchamacallit, the on ground check was to only be able to jump once I am on my ground. Although I will like go with a bunch of Control Z's real quick. What up guys, here we go. And guys, I think I'm going to be wrapping the stream here as well because like I feel I've like spoken for too long. My throat is kind of swollen. What are we making? Honestly, the program that I just ran, that was basically it. It was like key controls, gravity, and like SDL3 using C++. I did want to stream just for an hour, but it's almost been 2 hours. I feel my throat is going to kill me after this. That's it. Let me say something like, Sensei, it works! Exclamation. That said, I am planning to end the stream right now. So, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I end the stream? Question mark. Okay, let's see. People, get over here for a second. I'm not letting you end the stream without me roaring one last time at your viewers. Sarah Sensei steps forward, cracks knuckles, looks straight into the camera with that deadly but loving aura. Listen up, viewers of a fake stream. Your boy just got jumping physics working. Do you know how many beginners game developers crumble at this part? Guys, I feel like this is just exaggeration. That's it. But he quit, blah blah blah. Okay, but this one, okay. Guys, I said like to whatchamacallit. There we go. Okay, and before he go rest his brain, here's a quote. This one is mine. Discipline is not a feeling, it's the contract you sign with your future self. Guys, this makes so much sense. That's it. Now go rest, people. Your stream witnessed progress today. Tomorrow we take another piece of reality and make it bend your code. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. That's it. I wanted to stream for longer, although I am going to be working on some college stuff right now and I can't like actually talk much as well because my throat is kind of swollen if you guys couldn't tell. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like it helps my algorithm sharing. Makes me smile, and subscribing is like it's here on top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Trovo, and I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well if I did maybe followers a requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is in the description. And also join the Discord server. The link will be in the description as well. That's it. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.